Hi, welcome to On the Level with BD Construction. I'm Marcia Wilkerson, and today I'm joined by Mike Kalb. Mike is our Director of Business Development, and you might recognize him from past episodes of On the Level. Thanks for being with us here today, Mike.
Well, I'm excited to be here.
Mike is going to share some expertise on what makes a commercial construction project successful. And so, Mike, you say you have the one secret to making a construction project successful. Can you share what that is?
Well, absolutely. When I think about successful construction projects, the number one key thing that we have to focus on the front end is the ability to communicate. And it seems like a simple concept. However, it can be challenging. And so on the front end of a project, we have to communicate about how we're going to communicate throughout the front end and throughout the entire project.
Tell me about some of the key stakeholders in that communication process.
The obvious stakeholders that would be involved in that communication would be the owner, the design consultants, architects and engineers, as well as the contractor, general contractor, or construction manager, whatever direction the owner has decided to go. Some of the less obvious ones that I think sometimes get left out or forgotten about, I think it's important to have the facility users involved in those conversations early. We're going to be designing and building a facility that they have to operate in, and we want to make sure that we can meet and or exceed their ability to be successful in that space. Secondly, I think it's always important to have financial professionals involved in the front end of a project where needed. Could be bankers, could be CPAs. I think it's important for the owners and everyone to understand the financial ramifications of the decisions that are being made. Another important piece of it is the legal side. At times, we think it's important to have legal counsel involved just to talk through maybe some of the challenges. And the least obvious one that people may think about, when we get into a highly specialized project, I think it's important that we have to invite some of those specialty subcontractors and suppliers to some of those early on meetings to help us understand maybe some of the ramifications. These people deal with this stuff on a daily basis. They understand it. They understand costs. And although we may have a broad picture of some of that, we need some more detailed information at times.
So my communication seems simple, but it's not always easy. What are some processes or procedures that we can put into place to make sure that this critical component of the construction process happens?
So again, I know I may have mentioned this earlier, but we have processes for BD construction. Architects, engineers have processes, and owners typically have processes or ways that they like to communicate. But none of those are all going to match each other and their schedules or whatever the case may be. So that upfront conversation about communication is key. We need to set the ground rules and understand the time required and what's going to be required of everyone in those conversations. And so processes, I would say pretty hard to nail down one or two processes, but the key is to make sure you're communicating early on about how we're going to communicate.
So if this is my first commercial construction project, and I think for a lot of our project owners, it may be, they are busy running a hospital as hospital administrators, or busy running a school system as a school superintendent, or maybe a member of a school board. It can feel daunting and overwhelming to think about an 18-month-long construction project. How much time does it take on the part of some of those project owners to successfully communicate with their construction team?
I think the answer to that is probably all over the board. And I'll give you an example. If we bring in the facility users to be involved in these front-end conversations, the owner may have less time involved because we're getting it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. But we've had owners who are highly engaged, and we've had owners who have said, hey, We've hired professionals to take care of this for us. And so it can be all across the board. I've had owners tell me, you know what? It's been a great project, but it seemed like I've had a second full-time job for the last 18 months. And I've had owners say at the end of the project, you know, those few hours we've invested along the way have been money or time well spent. And so I think it falls anywhere in that whole spectrum of time commitment.
Great. Thank you for sharing your expertise, Mike. We're going to continue this conversation next week with some more information about what makes commercial construction projects successful and how to reduce risk.
Great. Thank you.